another week of insane musical exploration or whatever. Also, happy Halloween! The scariest thing I could find are these cute little fox ears in our closet. This, in our household, is known as the Happy Hat. For obvious reasons, right? So I figured I'll just get started today by warming up a little bit and giving you an idea of what we'll be doing today. A couple of days ago on Instagram, I posted a video of the breakdown of my breakdown in Mothership. It's a really interesting groove that I stumbled upon one day, and I became really addicted to it. So here's what it sounds like. I'm going to play it slow. I haven't played yet today, so here we go. So that's the basic concept. The cool thing about this is that it shifts quite a lot. Basically what we've got are quarter notes divided into 5 tuplets, quintuplets you could call them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's in 4/4, really standard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what I'm doing, instead of dividing those beats into 4s or in 3s like what we're used to hearing, I'm dividing them into 5, which gives them this really interesting swing. This I really love that sound. And in the second bar, I'm going back to the 16th note subdivision to kind of shorten those beats just by one technical quintuplet. So what you'll get is, let's see, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2. So it's a really interesting groove. I'm really excited about it, and eventually the whole piece climaxes when we get into this part right here. So we're setting up that groove in this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I can't contemplate at the same time. It's too many things happening. Awesome. I feel like I'm going to have to explain this out a couple times for the people joining in later on. I don't know. It's almost Halloween. It's the only thing that I could find that was somewhat festive. So you get long, 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 short, short, long. So before I hopped on here, I tried to find a couple of options as to how to notate this. The strange thing about this is that the 16th note stays steady from the rest of the piece. In the beginning of the piece, we have something that sounds kind of like this. So that 16th note that you're hearing, I want it to stay steady even when I go into 5s. So I'm playing in groups of 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And eventually I want to expand that out to 5s. Just open it up a little bit to get a little bit more awkward of a groove. So the reason that that's kind of awkward to depict is because technically what I'm playing are called quintuplets, like I mentioned. And the way that we want to feel this is in 4. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already gone over that. How about I just show you what I've got so far? Let's share that screen for just a second. Here we go. To the few of you watching, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to the Eternal Void. We've even got a little alien here telling me that we got 31% off because it's Halloween or whatever. All right, let's move on. So this is what I've got so far in terms of notating this. So what I'll do today is kind of go through some of the transcription process and kind of talk through my process a little bit, And then I'll actually jump into teaching you guys how to do these kinds of weird metric modulations is what they're called. So if you're in the chat, say hey. I would love to hear from you. It's always nice getting on here and transcribing for you all. And it's nice to hear from you. So if you're online right now, say hey. I'd love to hear your voice or see your text and hear your voice in my head. So what I've got here are a couple of different options. Really, these first two bars are option number 1. This second bar is option number 2. So in option number 1, I've decided to put the piece in 4/4. Hi, Joy. In 5/4, basically in order to keep the 16th note perception steady, right? Because earlier in the piece, I think you guys remember from last week, we're just steady in 4/4. Oh, that wasn't supposed to have changed. At 110 beats per minute. I'm going to change that back to 110, I think. It got kind of messed up. All right. So here we are, 110 beats per minute in 4/4. Our 16th note, this it's going to stay steady throughout the entire piece. And when we put it in 5/4, essentially what this is telling us is that this subdivision is going to remain the same. The quarter note pulse might feel a little bit differently because of how many groupings of these notes we're putting in, but that's not super important right now. So let's go back for a second. This is going to be more of a theory lesson than anything for those of you who are interested in learning. So actually, this is kind of a nice thing. So over here in the new section that we're working on today, there are 5 notes in this group, okay? Over here, there are 4 notes in each group. And I know it kind of looks a little chunky here and there, but essentially every time a beat is filled out, 4 beats, or 4 subdivisions fill it out. So now we come over here, quarter note stays the same, the grouping is different. Now we have 5 notes. So this is what we were playing earlier. So here's what I'll do to help you guys follow along. I'll put an accent right here, an accent right here, an accent right here, and an accent right here. And I'll only play this part. This isn't specifically notated. This is just for rhythm purposes. So now I'm going to be playing what's marked as bar 18 in the 5/4 bar. If I were really skilled, I would count in quarter notes while playing these quintuplets, but I'm not that good yet. Practice before theory, I guess is what they say. So look out for the accents. You'll hear that's what I just played, bar 18. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? It's a little tricky to follow, so I'm going to go a lot slower right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I do that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more time. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So you're hearing those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Then in the next bar, it's the same thing, but what we have, which is why some of this is confusing. Darren, how's it going? Welcome to our Halloween special. What we have now is another steady stream of 16th notes. We're not doing any kind of tuplet modulation or anything like that. The 16th notes stay steady, but the grouping changes. So again, we're going from groupings of 5 to groupings of 4, which gives it this speeding up quality. So instead of feeling like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we're just shaving off that last note of the quintuplet and getting started with a quicker beat just to kind of, I don't know, shake things up a little bit. Welcome in, Howard. It's nice to see you. No worries about being late. We're still here. This is I'm going to say our Halloween special. This is the only thing Halloween related I could find. It's just a hat. So right now we're looking at bar 19. It says 7/4, and this is not specific to any of the notes that we're actually playing. This is mostly just a rhythmic depiction for you guys right now. This is the second example of 3. So it's going to be a bit theory heavy for a minute, and then I'll get into actually teaching you guys what fingers I'm using and stuff like that. So right now we're in the rhythmic theory stage. So on bar 19, this is going to sound, I'll even do something similar. So accent on the first note of each group. And I could even say, this is beat 1, this is beat 2, this is beat. And this is not totally accurate because, again, the confusing thing about this is that we're technically dividing all of our beats into 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I guess it's going to be like a 5, 6, right? Because our time signature indicates quarter note as being the main giver of the beat, quarter notes are typically divided into 4 unless otherwise notated by tuplets, which I don't have tuplets notated here. You'll see that down here with these groupings of 5 that actually have a 5 above them. So these are 16th notes as they relate to the tempo in the beginning of the piece. And because of that, I'm going to accent each of these big beats. And this is kind of I'm kind of figuring this out along with you guys. I've been playing this riff for at least a year now, and I've just kind of felt it out. It's really interesting to kind of play it, but to notate it. But here's what it's going to sound like. This is bar 19 is where all the numbers are at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Oops. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is probably going to be the option that I stick with, simply because the main purpose of this section is to expand the beat a little bit, not to keep the beat the same and put more notes in it. So I've said this a few times already, and I'm also just kind of repeating this for my own mental clarity. The beginning of the piece is in 110 beats per minute, so like about there, right? Each of those beats has 4 16th notes in there. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. And if I were to put 5 beats in that same amount of space, that would significantly speed up the feel of this piece, right? And that's not necessarily what I wanted. What I wanted to do was keep those 16th notes steady, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, but add a 5th beat to actually slow down the beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's why I think this is going to be my preferred mode of notation. However, when we get to bar 20, or bar 20 is just the marker right now. This isn't actually the piece. When we get to bar 20, I think this is going to be the preferred method for most people to, or most advanced musicians to read this in. Because what we're actually playing feels more like 4/4 rather than kind of an overlaying of 5/4 and 4/4 like what we've got up here. So what I did is lots of maths, which is a weird thing for me to say because I'm not used to math in that sense. And I feel like music has helped me learn math more. I hated math as a kid. Always considered myself to be really bad at it. And then I found music and I started getting into music theory. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing a lot of math. All those years that I said I shouldn't have paid or should have paid attention. What am I going to use this for? This. Anyway, what I've done in this section right here, you're noticing that my tempo marking is Joy still hates math. I get it. I'm still hating it too. This is at least making math more interesting for me. But what's happening here? Okay, so we started the piece off in 110 beats per minute, right? And in order for 16th notes at 110 to match quintuplets, basically for the 16th note to stay steady, I had to divide 110 by 0.2, which is a 1/5 of the tempo. So 88 is, I think, 1/5 of my tempo at 110. Please check me on that, whoever is in here that is good at math, whether it's Darren, Howard, or Joy, or anyone who's watching. 88 is 1/5 of 110, right? The point is, our feel here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our subdivision is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is going to give us this kind of like egg rolly feel, this which I can't get enough of these days. It's amazing to me. Really, really popular in Eastern European dances, African dances, all kinds of what we could call world music dances. Less common in Western music unless you start getting into jazz. I know like Dave Brubeck, Take 5 is probably one of the most popular iterations of 5/4 in like modern jazz. Lots of artists today are using this kind of thing. So that's what we've got right now. The only problem that I have with this method is that I've still got these two guys up here to deal with. And I didn't have enough time before the stream to manage that. So let me think about this for a second out loud. So let's look at this bar actually while I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the confusing part about that is that, again, the quintuplet is going to stay steady, but now instead of having groups of 5 quintuplets, I'm going to have groups of 4 quintuplets with 2 groups of 4 quintuplets to shorten the beat. Yeah, I think I'm going to... I like the idea of this one a lot better. I think what's ultimately going to make a lot more sense and probably cause a lot less confusion, for now anyway, is getting this guy rolling. Oh man, what a tricky thing. What a tricky thing this is. So anyway, you guys, these are my two options as far as how to notate this section. Why don't we actually get cracking on notating it? So here's what's gonna happen. First things first. Low E here. Actually don't need that G. Dunk. Now we're gonna do a left hand tap here, a right hand tap here, and then we're gonna do an open E minor chord. Actually, it's an E minor 7. I don't need that E yet. I'm gonna put a D in here. That's what I want. Dunk, dunk, dunk. And then this is gonna be another E minor 7 chord. I've already got that. Okay. And finally, our last E minor 7 chord. And then what I'm gonna do is specify our percussive hits with some special shapes. This is where writing for guitar gets really fun, because there are a lot of standards for how percussive guitar is notated, and then there are a lot of freedoms with that as well. What I try to do when I'm notating for percussive guitar is just differentiate the left hand from the right hand. And sometimes that can look a little bit confusing, but if I'm just putting a bunch of X's, that can be quite a lot to separate. So what I'll do, I'll just show you what I'll do. Give me that special tools palette. Zoom in a little bit here just so you can kind of get a better view. I'm going to take... So this is going to be a left-hand tap, and this is going to be a left-hand tap, and I think that stays consistent throughout the entire bar. So these 4 notes, what I'm going to do is find a small x with a parenthesis in them, which will ultimately... Oh, did I pass it? That's what I want. Okay. That's going to be my left hand. This right here, ooh, you know what I need here is another note, probably right here. And I'll show you why momentarily. Oh, it's an eighth note, that's why it's not letting me do the thing. So thank you guys for logging on. This has become one of my favorite things to do on Friday because I have teaching Monday through Thursday, and Friday is my creative day. And this is usually what I'm doing anyway, but to have a few of you hop online, 40 of you hopped online last week, which is just more than I'm used to having watched these things, which is great. I know right now there are 4 of you. Hello. It's just nice to talk through my process a little bit because it helps me understand my own music a little bit better, and it helps me memorize what I'm writing. Ultimately, what this is going to do is be available for you all to learn. And will help me in the studio to be a little bit more precise about what I want. That's not to say that I'm going to do a whole bunch of edits and chops on the pieces, which I still might, but this is going to help me do it in fewer takes. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. I think that is somewhat clear. Now, we can get a little bit more specific. Here's what I'll do too. I'll just go ahead and finish this off by taking these over here. What I can... Dude, Howard says, what you are wearing reminds me of Link from Ocarina of Time. Because in the original Ocarina of Time game, one of the hats that you can trade in is basically a Pikachu hat. It doesn't say that. I can't even remember what the name of the hat is called, but yeah, this belongs to my wife Devin, and we have designated it as the Happy Hat. It's kind of one of those things that we'll do when we're in a bad mood. We just put this thing on and just wear it for a while. And the reason I'm wearing it today is because it's the only costume-esque thing I have in this apartment right now. And you know, happy Halloween and stuff. So, sweet, sweet coffee. So now, what I want to do is get a little bit more specific about the strings and the mutes that are happening, so that way when we take it down to the tab, it will translate. So what's happening here actually is pretty easy. And take these 2 notes all the way down to an E, step by step, I guess. Oh, my computer's lagging because it's old. Poor guy. Oops. And then what I'll do here is be a bit more specific about the left-hand mutes on this E minor 7 chord. I'll change those notes to X's with parentheses here in a second. And then I want to add a mute here as well, because what's going to happen, I'll actually show you when I get those mutes notated in. And then another D minor 7 mute. What am I missing? Oh yeah, so that's going to be way down here on my E string. So the reason I'm being specific about what note to put these mutes on is because when it translates down to the tab, that's ultimately going to be the string that you want to mute. In this case, you'll see a lot of these X's outside of the parentheses that are going to either be played with a muted thumb stroke. So you're just kind of doing that kind of thing. I'll show you a bit more about that in a second. And I'll notate that with specific fingers. Okay, so then let's change these guys right here to the X with parenthesis on them. Okay, there we are. Is that gonna look good? Oh, that looks really bad. Maybe I'll take the middle one out or something. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Finale is not the perfect software, that is for sure. Or maybe I'm just not quite well versed enough on it yet to make it happen. Essentially, all I'm really trying to depict here is to do a mute on a higher set of strings, right? Your right hand is not really gonna move around all that much. I think you guys will notice. I'm not like specifically moving my hand down to the higher set of strings. I think you can see this. I'm not actually able to see. Oh, there we go. You can see. So another thing I can do to be a bit more specific is notate a downstroke there. Because what's happening on this beat, and I'll actually get more specific about these two X's too, is that your thumb is landing in between the 6th and the 5th string when we do a downstroke with our finger, our index finger. So that just adds a really nice kind of snare, like backbeat percussive element to it. And I think that is 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Something horrible has happened. Oh no. So I don't think it's that horrible actually. I think I've just got to change up the beaming a little bit. So my beaming has gone, my grouping has gone from beams of 5 to groups of 5 to groups of 4 again. Because again, Finale thinks that we're using the quarter note here as our main pulse. Problems, but not that much of a problem. So let's finish with articulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is going to be, so here's what we'll do. Actually, I think I can just make this really quick and just do this. Oop, not what I wanted. And do this. Easy. And then I've got to, so right now you all are seeing my concept failing a little bit right now because the groupings are in 4, which makes this look really, really chaotic, as if it doesn't look chaotic enough already. So what I'm going to do to hopefully make it look a little less chaotic is put them in groupings of 5 to help our eyes adjust. That already looks so much nicer to me. Oh yeah, and then I'll just do this whole thing. Dead air, dead air. Keep speaking, talk about other... No! It did that again! I see what happened. When I dragged it, it rebeamed. That's not what I want. I'll just rebeam everything manually. Take that, Finale. I don't need your automation, even though I use your automation every day. So then I think the same thing's probably going to happen if yep, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the automation and then I'm going to correct the automation. How's that for a solution? Okay, and then after I get done with this bar right here, I will take a second to run through a short tutorial of this. I'll bring it down to the tab. And then I'll move on to the next section and get that rolling as well. Save, Command S. Command S, that's our friend. High likelihood that I would have not saved this and lost all of my progress. All right? So this is looking really cool, actually. I had not anticipated it looking quite like this. Yes! So, let's take this down to the tab. You're noticing that you're actually going to notice really quickly that there are no fretted notes. Lots of articulations and lots of X's, but that's because this section is mostly percussive and mostly rhythmic. There are a couple of problems I have with... In fact, why don't we fix this up, clean it up just a little bit really quick, and then I'll... Oh man, lagging. I don't want the lagging. This is the guy I want to take out. Nope. All right, for those of you just joining in, welcome in. I actually don't know how much time has passed. It's 10:30. It means about half an hour has passed. That's amazing how half an hour passes so quickly. I have been going through and talking through my process on how to get this quintuplet groove fit into the structure of my song Mothership. And right now, I am about to actually go over a short tutorial of how to make that work, but for some reason, I need this note to cooperate and move over to the left, and I had a way of doing that, and now it's not. So how about this? What if I just deleted a note? Would that line it up? No. Okay, doesn't really matter. So check it out. This is what our tab and notation is going to look like for this section. It looks nuts right now. So that's A, because it's raw. B, because there's a lot of articulation and a lot of percussive symbols. And C, just because it is kind of crazy. But it's not as difficult as it might seem. The hardest part is absorbing that quintuplet feel into your bones. Again, a lot of us are really comfortable and used to hearing like dotted grooves. A tresillo is one that we use a lot. One of my, actually, he's in the chat right now. Darren and I are all over those tresillos, which is just dun, 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 dun. That's a really easy groove to digest. A little tricky to pull off in some cases, and a little tricky to notate, but still very effective and very popular. So essentially what we're getting here is something called a quintuplet swing, for those of you joining in. And I like it so much. Essentially we're in 4/4, and each of those 4 notes, or each of those 4 beats, are being divided into 5 16th notes. All of this stuff that you see down here are just different iterations of that. So let's look through this. I think it would be helpful if I put some beaming on this. So edit staff attributes and give me some stems. Am I gonna get the same stems? Of course we are. That's beautiful. So the main ones that I want you guys to focus on, I wonder if I can like put a circle or an arrow. I don't know, that's gonna make things more confusing. The beginning of each of these beams are our most important beats. Unfortunately, right now, this first beat here is a little bit off kilter. I'll have to go back and fix that later. But let's go through this one beat at a time. So beat 1, what am I saying? We're gonna plant our thumb on the 6th string. We're gonna plant our index, middle, and ring on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. All we're doing is outlining an open E minor 7 chord. Standard tuning, you guys. One of the coolest chords on the planet, one of the easiest chords on the planet. Sounds so funky, sounds so great right off the bat, okay? So we're gonna start with 1 thumb stroke. I think you can see my left hand. And then 1 left hand mute. All I'm doing with that left hand mute is collapsing it against the fretboard. One thing that can help you with this, I've been teaching Zoom lessons for long enough that I can kind of get my camera angle and down the barrel of my guitar. One thing that can help you with this is making sure that your knuckle is nice and even and parallel with the fretboard, that it's not out here, that it's actually right underneath the fretboard. That way, when you just close your hand, you've got this 90-degree angle, you just get this nice pop, which I love. Love the sound of that pop. So, thumb, and then we get that X in parentheses. And then in the right hand, I'm just playing that note that I just muted. So open E, left hand mute, right hand muted pluck. Okay, after that, my thumb, or my index, middle, and ring are already planted on the chord. So I'm gonna pluck that string and then do another left-handed mute. That's beat 1, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beat 1, all right? So I think if I had to divide it up, it would be right, like in terms of right and left hand action, what is doing what? Right, left, right, right, left. So again, right, left, right, right, left. So a right, a left, two rights, and a left. And that's the same, I think, for every beat. So if you can get those 5 notes really comfortably, it's just a matter of repeating. Well, I guess we should probably do the next bar too, or the next beat too. The only difference in the next bar is the strum and mute together, which is a tricky technique to get a hold of. One way you can practice that, I would say probably by like keeping your strings muted in case you have any neighbors that are noise sensitive, is to just attack the strings with your thumb and your fingers going down. So it's almost like you're moving down, your thumb catches the string, and your index finger just keeps going with the momentum. It's a really useful technique. All strings muted, not so much. Some strings muted, definitely, because then you can get chords. And create all kinds of crazy grooves out of that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Now we're looking at this second beat. We just have the mute and the chord, open E minor. The reason I have the A string muted as well is because I don't want to risk hitting that note, because it really muddies up that A minor 7 chord, or E minor 7 chord. It kind of turns it into something more of an E minor 7 sus4. It's really muddy and strange. So we get this. Same configuration of right, left, right, right, left, okay? Right, left, right, right, left. I know that's kind of confusing because you're seeing all my hands doing these different things, but all I'm trying to communicate is that these are the order of the actions of my hands, right? Right hand is doing the muted strum. Left hand is doing the percussive mute. Right hand is plucking the muted string. Right hand is plucking the open string. Left hand is collapsing down to get a percussive hit. So all together, the first 2 beats sound like this, really, really slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's the only part that we haven't done yet, is that little riff at the end where you see this 5/6. So I think what I'm going to do, actually I think verbatim, I can just copy and paste this whole riff. And honestly, you guys, this isn't what's going to end up happening in the final tune. In the studio recording, I'm going to shift up the groove a little bit more to where you've got a group of 5, a group of 6, and we go back to groups of 5. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a really weird and exciting feeling thing. And it's going to be really cool, I think. So let's get all of this down. Hopefully this doesn't ruin too much of what's happening in the 7/4 bar. And, ooh, that looks rough. Let's clean that up a little bit. I think it's all those stems. I don't think we need all those stems. Let's back up a little bit. Something weird is going on. Oh, I see. I didn't mean for that to happen. I grabbed all of the tab when really I just wanted to grab this single line of tab. Aha, see, correct. For those of you who tuned in last week, say hello again to our good friend, the first 8 bars of Mothership. They welcome you back. Looking a little bit rough right now with all those stems. I actually think I'm gonna probably take those stems off again. It's really bugging me. And I think after we do this, I'm going to sign off after we do this last little run. I think it's actually been probably 40 minutes or so. You guys are always, I will always express my gratitude to you, because for you to sign on and spend 30 or 40 minutes of your Friday morning with me while I'm nerding out over my own music, that actually just means a lot to me because, you know, it could get cheesier and cheesier about it. It just means a lot to me. So yeah, that didn't work at all. And actually, I'm going to have to double back on a lot of my progress. Dang. Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. So here's what I'm going to do. I am just going to... did I go too far? No, I didn't. I'm just going to go over here and show you guys exactly what's going on with this riff, and then we'll stop for the day. So I showed you, in fact, I might even be able to, oh yes, this is what I'm going to be able to do. It's this riff right here. We already did this, you guys. Oh, yay. So here we go. Hopefully I can translate those layers. Okay, it's just kind of being a little bit. Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to just translate that into layer 1, move copy layers into, I'm stumbling over my words now. Now, instead of these 4 bland 16th notes that are on some somewhat generic Gs, it's going to be like this. Huzzah! Okay, that's going to take up beats 5, quote, beats 5 and 6, or I think it's going to be, we'll figure that out later. 1, 2, so it's 1, 2. Actually, this is really interesting because now that my beams have been taken back to the 16th note subdivision as usual, you know, we're in 4/4. I'm going to go back to this again. Our beats are divided into 4 even spaces, which are called 16th notes. I know most of you guys are aware of what that means. What I'm doing is adding an extra beat, a 5th beat, which kind of gives us this really off-kilter, interesting feel. So what I did up here is actually group my 16th notes into note groups of 5. And when I copy and paste things, Finale automatically regroups my beams here. So, or regroups my notes. So what I had done earlier is I had put these accent marks on each 5th note. And that made a lot of sense, like up here, when each 5th note is just the beginning of each group. But now that they're back in groups of 4, you can see the polymeter that's happening here, or the it's the polymeter that's happening here. So first note, accented, fine. Now it's actually depicting the 2nd note of our 2nd 16th set, okay? Now the 3rd, and now the 4th, and then ideally we would have a 5th right here landing on the 1st beat again. What that would sound like, if we were to kind of condense it down a little bit, would be called a 5/4 polymeter. So in one hand, you're going to see, I'm going to just do this on my chest. It's going to seem kind of weird that I'm standing up holding my boobs, but it's going to sound like something like this. Too high. Squat down so you guys can see my 5/4 boob polymeter again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. So 5 is over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. And then they both line up again. 4 is going to be over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. I missed that last one. That's what's essentially happening here musically. So this riff, I already did a tutorial for. I'm going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to sign off here because it's already been 45 minutes. You guys are amazing for hanging out. What we have in this part right here should actually have an extra tap notation, not trill. I think it's this. That's right. I use the little plus sign as a tap, which basically means to hammer on without plucking in right away. So here's what's going to happen. We are looking at this part right here. I'm going to hammer on a G. Oh, better than that though. Hammer onto a G. Pluck the G with my thumb. Play an open A with my index finger. Hammer onto a B. Pluck that B again with my thumb. Open D with my index finger. And then hammer onto another 4. R, C sharp, pull off to an A. That is the step-by-step process to those 8 notes. I'm going to do it really slow. Sorry. Okay. Hammer, pluck, pluck, hammer, pluck, pluck, hammer, pluck. So I think it's left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, left again. One more time on that. These are again the actions of my left and right hand. Left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. So what did I catch there? Left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left. I don't know if that's even going to be at all helpful to anybody, but this, you guys, is the breakdown of Mothership. This tune has caused me a lot of growth, I'll say, because when I wrote it a few years ago, it just felt like a bunch of riffs. I said this last week in the stream, and since then, I've taken out a bunch of those riffs and compacted it down to the best ideas in this tune. So if you haven't heard Mothership in a while, you should go back to my YouTube channel and my fingerstyle videos playlist and check that out. Last December, I did a run through, and it was just 5 minutes of pure chaos. And it was a lot of fun. it was just really cool. So I would encourage you to go watch that again and listen for this section. I'll actually just play it again for you guys to sign off. Thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a happy Halloween. And yeah, let's get out of this. Actually, oops, Zoom is not what I need. Let's get out of this little screen share. All right. Here we are, the end of the stream. I'm just going to play through this little tune for you guys and, you know, call it a day. Have a good Halloween, you guys.